A very warm welcome to each of you and thank you for taking time out to catch us live. At SixSox, we believe that each one of us has the capability to be a winner. We welcome all of you with open arms as our goal is to serve, learn, share, and reach beyond. In addition, we are here for you with any assistance that you or your organization might need on a group or individual basis. SixSox classrooms are where we deliver quality to the best of our capabilities. Do reach out to us to know more. Let me introduce our speaker for today. With over 20 years of experience in the financial services, of which 16 years has been in learning and development, Hariharan Iyer trained in 26 countries, physically and virtually, over the years to better understand the nuances involved in face to face and virtual interfaces. He believes that the use of technology is the key to a successful learning experience. With delivering impactful behavioral, soft skills, and risk programs, amassing numerous certifications, Hariharan has been acknowledged as one among the most effective facilitators in the learning and development arena, where he continues to positively impact people and organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Hariharan Iyer with his talk titled The Bridge.
Thank you very much, Deepa, for that splendid introduction of mine. As usual, thank you once again. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to the various people across the globe who are watching from different geographies. In fact, I'm sure you would have seen the invite which said, The Bridge. Now, I'm sure you must be wondering, what's the bridge got to do with all that is happening today? Now, let me give you a small insight. The bridge is only possibly that smoke screen that is there in front of you, but there's going to be something much more beyond that smoke screen. So if you want to grab a writing instrument and some paper, possibly you would like to grab it because you would like to put down your thoughts and also take a few that I have to share with you. Now, before I go any further, I would like to share my screen so that we can take it from there. Now, so let's assume that you are standing on this bridge, right? And it's extremely misty and you do not know what's on the other side. You really can't see anything on the other side. Now, on the chat box, I want you to place your responses to this question that I'm going to place for you. What would you do if you have to cross this bridge when you cannot see anything clearly? It's completely misty and you actually are blinded for some time. So how would you cross that bridge? You can place your comments onto the chat box, and Deepa, if you could read it for me as they are coming in.
Someone says, be guided by handrail.
Okay.
Take it as you go and be positive.
Uh-huh.
Focus on your goals.
Okay.
Walk in the middle of the bridge.
Uh-huh. Okay. That's a nice one.
First, I'll know about the bridge, whether it's strong or not.
Okay. So, to all those people who wrote there thinking, yeah, Deepa, there's one more there, I think.
Stay there till clear.
Still it clears. Okay. So to all those people who had those comments that came in, now assume that you are standing on this side of the bridge and there is somebody on the other side. And you had to actually build that bridge of relationship with that person. How often does it come that you are either waiting for that person, for the air to clear up? You do not know, you just go out with that positive intent saying, okay, everything will be fine. Possibly you are extremely cautious. You're holding onto that handrail, possibly just trying to measure every action of yours towards that person. Now, all that is happening because you're trying to build that bridge with that person who is opposite you, whom you intend to bring into your possibly inner circle as a friend, or a colleague, or possibly even as a family member. So, ladies and gentlemen, the bridge is nothing but that relationship path that you're looking to build with that individual. Now, I'm sure I've got some mothers in the audience, and the next question is not specifically to the mothers, but I'm sure it's close to the mothers. Now, this image, if you see here, it is actually, I'm sure you'd notice that it's a baby holding the mother's hand. How many of you all in the audience can tell me, how does a baby know? So you can put your answers on the chat box. How does a baby know that that person who is holding him or her is actually the mother? What could be the reason? Or what is it that tells the baby, yes, this person is your mother? You can place your answers on the chat box. The warmth, okay. Gut feel. Deepa, can you read the answers for me? Because it's just,
Yes.
okay, in fact.
Someone says instincts, smell, unconditional.
Okay. Anybody else with another thought? Okay. So before I got into this subject, I was reading a little. Somebody says inner bond. Okay. So I was reading a little, and I realized that there are some studies in science that have been created or that have been conducted, and to understand a mother and child relationship. And you won't believe it. Till date, it is unexplained. People say it's warmth. That's the answer I got. People say smell. Some people say heartbeat. Some people say the way the mother holds the child. Some of them say it is just that inner bond that is there. We don't know really how. And today there is a study in UK which says that possibly cells of the child are there with the mother, and the mother's cells are there with the child. And there is that unknown instinct of that relationship, that bond, that bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, that means, isn't building bridges innate, inbuilt, and ingrained within us? We can build bridges with anybody. That means, and to be more precise, this mother and child relationship is said to be supreme. And I'll tell you from where I picked this up. Daniel Goleman, in his book Emotional Intelligence, opens the book with a heart-wrenching story of a family traveling in a train with a child who's got cerebral palsy, 80%. The train derails and dives into a lake. This family is in a compartment, and the compartment is sinking. Rescue workers rush to the spot and have enough time just to save one person out of the three: the father, the mother, or the child who's got cerebral palsy. As many of you would have guessed, the mother negotiates with the father and the child and convinces them, along with the rescue workers, that the child needs to be saved. That is why this relationship is supreme. So that means this relationship is already there in our mind. It's already there. Relationship building capabilities are there within us. Then, if relationship building capabilities are already there, where is it? It is here. It's all in the mind. So whether you build relationships with people, whether you're not able to cast that relationship, whether a relationship goes sour, whether it goes bitter, whether it breaks, it's all happening because of this. The question is, what is the reason that it is that you cannot build a certain relationship? Or why is it that those relationships go bad? Why do they go sour? What's wrong in that bridge? Where have we gone wrong in that building the bridge? And I believe that the brain is a builder. That is where those relationships, those bridges are cast. Now, let me give you another example. I'm sure many of you would have gone through this. You can grab your notepad and write down. Many of you would have come across these relationships where there is a lot of friction. lot of misunderstanding. And then it comes to a point, then that entire thing will erupt like a volcano. Something like Mount Pinatubo in Japan, when it just bursts open and there is lava flowing out. Why? Because rubbing has been so severe that it's all got heated up. And when that eruption happens, all of it is gone out of the water. It's gone, it's just flown out of the window. After that, whenever you meet that person, whenever you come across that person, how do you feel? You actually feel exactly like this. Tell me if I am right or wrong. You actually feel that that person is a tree of thorns, a bag of thorns, or possibly a path of thorns. Now, why did that happen? It was because of that eruption that took place. For some reason, that bridge couldn't be forged properly, and that's why that eruption happened. And today, the effect of that relationship or that effect or that eruption is nothing but these thorns that you see on that tree. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gets worse from here. It could actually dive into something as bad as this. When the last strand of that relationship is possibly severed, and then that relationship ends forever. I'm sure if you have a pen and paper or a pencil and paper, you could write down all those relationships of yours that have ended in this manner. And you'd notice that they could be a friendship relationship. It could be a relationship between a parent and a child. It is even relationships between husband and wife. So no relationship is actually so supreme that something like this cannot happen. The question is, what can we do so that such eruptions, such effects, and such an end doesn't take place in our relationships? I want you to travel with me into my life and tell you what has been that tipping point for me when I look at relationships. Today, I call it the one word known as the balance. When you're able to balance your expectation with the expectations of the person whom you're looking to build that relationship with. The question is, how can one strike this balance? And if at all, is there a balance? That's $1 million question. Can we ever have a balance in striking relationships? For me, it has always been a yes, because I've been able to strike that balance. And I'll tell you how I've been able to strike it. It may work for you. It has definitely worked for me. It may work for you as well. And let me tell you, I was a child and I used to be studying in a single ed, not a co-ed, but in a boys' school. And I remember one of my classmates used to beat me up practically once a week. Once I came home completely beaten up, and my mother tells me, "Oh my God, son, what has happened to you?" I said, "Mama, I got beaten up today." I refused to go to school. Next morning, my mother wakes me up and asks me to go to school. I said, "No, I will not go to school. I do not want to get beaten up." My mother cajoles me and tells me only one thing: "Son, if you do not go to school and learn how to befriend that person who's hit you, in the world, you will be alone. You will be stranded on that island without anybody around you. That's because you cannot run away from everybody. You have to counter it." I wiped my tears and looked up at her. And she gave me my first learning of that day. She said, "Remember, it is not about me. It is about we, the community, the society. Therefore, when you are dealing with others, always use your heart. And when you're dealing with yourself, always use your brain and your mind. Because when you use your mind, you know exactly how you can approach that person. I may have been in class 2 or class 3 when she gave me this example. Years rolled. I came to class 8. In class 8, my father took a decision that changed my life. He moved to another place completely. That place was completely unknown to me. Reason being, I never visited that place before. I did not know the people there. I did not know the language there. I did not know the culture there. I did not know how people think there. And when I went to school, I was all alone, completely stranded on an island with no friends. I tried making friends, and I can tell you, I failed miserably. My father kept noticing me like those hawk's eyes, sharp. He knew that there was something going wrong. One day on the dinner table, he turned up to me and said, "Son, what's wrong? You don't look too happy." I said, "Dad, you know what? I'm not feeling too happy in school because I'm not having any friends." So my father said, "I hope you remember your mother's secret." I said, "Yes, Dad, I try applying it, but it's not working for some reason." That's when he gave me my second success story or second formula. He said, "Remember, son, you always need to think about the we. It's not about you only. And when you're thinking about the we, you first need to absorb what's going on around and then act. Watch, listen, feel before you act." Ladies and gentlemen, years later, in 2007, when I got my certification in neuro-linguistic programming, I realized what my father told me was nothing but in the real world known as mirroring. When you can mirror your actions, the way you speak, and the dialogue with the person opposite you, automatically you win over that person. It's been proven in neuro-linguistic programming. Years rolled again, and I encountered another tough situation. I was flying high. I was managing a team of 273 across Southeast Asia. Extremely well was I doing for myself. And then came one line manager in my life who nearly got rid of me. In fact, he fired me. I lost my job. In my team, those days, there used to be a gentleman who was a little over 50 when I was just under 30. And to me, I always looked up to him like my father's younger brother, my uncle, to be more precise. So when I lost my job, whenever we used to speak to each other, I used to tell him, you know what, I feel like breaking that line manager's nose. If I see him ever, I will actually knock his head off. That's when my friend, or this gentleman, his name is Deepak Jani, and in fact, I suppose he's watching this program. He said, "Hari, remember one thing. It's not about you alone again. It's about how you're able to cast that relationship with him." This is where I must tell you, if you keep living with this sad story and these thorns that are there in you, and if you keep thinking of it constantly, trust me, you will not get if you don't give. I said, "Deepak bhai, I already know this story of giving and getting, but what's the sense it's making here?" He said, "You know what? Add a FOR preceding the give." So I said, "Forgive." Yes, he said, "Forgive, and then you will forget." Because if you do not forgive, you will never be able to forget. And you will keep living in that hurt lifelong. And every relationship for you from then on is going to be a pain. It's going to be a thorn. It's going to be that hurt that you will carry forward. You have to learn to forgive yourself and the other person. I can tell you that gentleman today is one of my closest on LinkedIn. Had it not been for Deepak, possibly Deepak Bhai it wouldn't have been possible that I would have actually even come close to building that bridge. Years rolled. Another mentor came my way. And he told me, listen, remember, Hari, if you are ever looking at becoming successful in your life, if you are ever looking at changing your jobs, change when you are on a high in your present job. So I said, okay, that's a nice piece of advice. A job opportunity comes my way. I lunge onto it and then join my new organization. Little did I know on that first day that I was signing the papers that there's going to be a real tough, I should not say a devil, but that person was one of the toughest managers I've ever come across in my entire 22-year work career. She demanded more than the best in me. One day, I picked up the phone and called this mentor of mine and said, you know what, Frank? And of course, he's been watching. I said, Frank, you know what? I'm going through a real torrid time. And I don't know if I made the right decision of moving from my past or the previous job. He said, remember, Hari. So he asked me, before he said, remember, he said, so Hari, tell me what is the reason? So I told him the entire story. I gave him a download of what was happening over the last 4 months. And that's when he said, remember, Hari, it is not about you. It is not about you. It is about you and her. That's a we. It's togetherness. It's we. You need to do only one thing. You need to adjust to the shape that she is putting you into. However, do not change your state, because your state is your individuality. It is who you are. It is who you are from within. It is your values. It is your foundation. Don't change that, but definitely adopt and adapt to that shape that she's putting you into. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you it's 2 years since I've been in touch with that line manager of mine who's moved to the United States. And I can tell you we exchange emails practically every week again. So these are some of the things I did, just the 4 formulae. The first one, when you're looking at moving from the me to the we, first, always remember, when you're dealing with the others, let's use our mind. When we're dealing with the others, always use our heart. When we are dealing with ourselves, use our mind. The second one, again, the me to the we. Let us all first absorb and then act. If we all are able to absorb first and then act, possibly we would never have those eruptions and those tricky roads that are there on our relationships. The third is Deepak Jani's, my Deepak Bhai's favorite story. He said, learn to forgive so that we can forget and move on. And last not the least, Frank, one of my best friends, he said, adjust and adapt to that shape, but maintain your state. So these are some of the 4, or the 4 formulae that I apply usually in casting my relationships. And this is something I know for sure. If you're looking to build that bridge, these 4, they have worked for me. And I'm sure they will work for you as well. All you need to do is try them out. Because I've tried it. I've tried over the years, since childhood, and I know it has worked for me. The most important, ladies and gentlemen, this building of the bridge is innate in us, inbuilt in us, ingrained in us, as I told you. It's the marriage of those 2 neurons within the brain. So if the neurons know how to bridge, that means we also can innately believe and we can actually build those bridges. Because building those bridges is ingrained in us, it is wired in us. All we need to know is how to activate those wires. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the greatest relationship of all time. I mean, that is why science has not been able to decipher as to how come this bridge or this relationship is so strong. That is why I call it that enigma. The best relationship or the supreme relationship of all times. Over to you, Deepa, for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hariharan. For those of you with us today, if there are any unanswered queries, please write back to us on our email ID and we shall revert to you with the speaker's response. We're happy to announce that we have launched SixSox Community, our tiny bit to contribute to the society, with the support of Mr. Venkat, known as the Pencil Man of UAE. To know more about the community initiative, do check out our social media pages of Sampurna Shiksha and SixSox Minds. We thank you for having attended this session. Always remember, SixSox Minds is here to serve, learn, share, and reach beyond. We are also here for you and your organization to identify talents and help nurture them. We listen and address your requirement. Do reach out to us on sixsoxminds@gmail.com for this and more. On that note, see you, au revoir, adios, masalama, fir milenge.